Hello, guys. Hi. I hope you're doing good, well, rested. Maybe if you are not really rested, let's have a resting time now. I have prepared 4 new books for us to explore together, and all of those books are about cats. As you may know, I live in Cyprus, and Cyprus kind of tend to be a cat island, and there's lots of cats here. They are living outside. I am not really sure, but there is like kind of a legend that the cats were brought here in order to fight the snakes, because we have lots of snakes here and some of them are dangerous snakes. And they say that before there was even more, so the cats fighted it, I guess. So let's see what we have here. I almost haven't gone through them myself, so we are gonna do it together. A manual for kittens, strays, and homeless cats. The silent meow. Silent meow. Okay. Paul Gallico was one of the most gifted storytellers of our time, whose books, many of them now classics, brought him a worldwide reputation. Born in New York City in 1989, in 1898, I'm switching 9 and 8 in English language for some reason, I don't know why. He began a career in journalism, which soon expanded to include books, short stories, and screenplays. His stories quickly made him famous, one of them, The Snow Goose, becoming an immediate literary classic. From 1950 onwards, he lived in Europe and died in Monaco in 1976. The Silent Meow was first published in 1964 and was an instant success. So this book has some pictures inside of a kitten. I think it's, yeah, so the one that we have on the front is also inside. So the contents is, of course, there's the foreword, takeover, people, property rights, going to the bed, food, tidbits at the table, attitudes, doors, Christmas, traveling, motherhood, speech, manners, love, two-timing, errors, games and recreations, preparation and training of the young, conclusion. Okay, we don't of course going to read it all through. We will take a look at some of the chapters. Okay, so from the first chapter I see that the text is kind of made as it was kitten spoken, at least in the first chapter, because it starts when I was a very young kitten. I had the misfortune to lose my mother and found myself alone in the world at the age of 6 weeks. So it's like a little story about a kitten that made a life without its mother. There's some dialogues inside. I'm very interested in the love section as well as, let's see, what else? Maybe manners, speech. Okay, speech. That's so funny because like the text goes like it goes from one cat to another. The silent meow. I cannot begin to tell you how effective the silent meow can be for bringing down resistance, always provided you don't overdo it but save it for the right moment. The technique for this is ridiculously simple. You look up at the subject. You look up at the subject, open your mouth as you would for a fully articulated meow, such as you emit if, say, you wish to leave the room and want the door opened, or are hungry or irritated by something, except in this case you permit no sound to issue. The effect is simply staggering. The man or the woman appears to be shaken to the core and will give you particularly anything, which is why I say you must not use it often, for one of the human traits in fact reduces to a proverb is that familiarity breeds contempt. Whereas in our world, as you know, the proverb reads familiarity breeds contentment. Even I, who have made a lifelong study of the human species, am not able to tell you exactly why the silent meow has this devastating effect, or even the exact emotion it inspires in people. We have, of course, some photographs of how it might look. We have also active meow, the purr, So basically, the funny thing is that that book is from a cat to a cat. Let's read about love, right? Love is a difficult and delicate subject. It is a feeling that comes stealing over you sometimes. And until you have experienced it, you may not understand what I'm saying and must therefore take my word for it. I refer, of course, to love of people. For, in spite of everything I have written with the aim of making easier your task of securing a comfortable home and taking over the people who will occupy it with you, love is the unknown factor that in 9 out of 10 cases you will find will enter into the relationship. It is a mysterious thing that no one has ever been able to find the location or the cause of something like our poor. It is not at all like the instinct that sends us out looking for a husband. Oh no. It is something quite different and most difficult to explain, except that when it happens to you, you will know it. It has happened to me with the family with which I have lived since I took them over as a very young kitten, as I have narrated in the beginning of this book. I love them, and they love me. There, I have said it, and I'm not ashamed of it. You cannot live for any length of time with humans without learning that, in addition to a few good qualities, they are stupid, vain, stubborn, forgetful, often sly and false. They tell outright lies. They say one thing and mean quite another. They make promises that they break and are often selfish, greedy, inconsiderate, possessive, and inconsistent, cowardly, jealous, irresponsible, autocratic, intolerant, impatient, hypocritical, and slovenly. Yet, with all these handicaps, they have this strong and wonderful thing they call love. And when they love you and you love them, none of the other things seem to matter. Though, of course, a word of caution here, you must never lose your head so completely as to fail to protect yourself in accordance with the ways and means I have set down in this volume. Although you will never solve the mystery of this human love, you will no doubt discover, as I did, something that is a part of it, a characteristic of every person, male or female, young or old, good or bad, you will ever encounter without exception. They all lonely, but unlike us, are not self-sufficient enough to bear it as we can. And perhaps what lies at the bottom of the power we are able to wield over them is the fact that they need us to help them in this state. And while I may have been seemingly harsh and cruel in my attitude toward them for your protection, when I think about my family and how lonely each one remains in spite of being married to one another, or having fathers and mothers, brothers or sisters, and how at times I am able to ease this condition simply by sitting on their laps, coming when they call, lying at the foot of the bed, or just being about, it gives me a most pleasant feeling in my stomach and starts me purring. And you need not be ashamed if this happens to you too. But what is this human love like? I hear you ask. How are we to know when it is beginning to happen to us so that we can enjoy it? All I can tell you is that it is something they feel, and when they hold you in their arms or you're lying in their laps and they begin to stroke you gently, it flows from them into you and then you feel it. If it isn't there, you won't. I mean to say, if they are just stroking you or scratching you absent-mindedly, or because they want to entertain you and to play up to you, you won't feel anything. But every so often, in their need to give love as well as receive it, they will sometimes, like children, half squeeze you to death. Something will come into their eyes, the touch of their hands will change, and then willy-nilly you will begin to pour, and your claws will work in and out as they did when you were kittens at our teats. And they were happy. Sometimes love in you for them will be so strong that you will seize them with your front paws, back kick with your hind legs, and bite them with your teeth, because that is the way we often express our feelings, particularly when they are connected with sex. I have often thought that this human love is also connected with that, except that in some way they seem to be able to manage to separate it, which of course is why it is so difficult to understand. At any rate, if possible, you should try to control the biting and scratching, remembering that even though loving, they are also stupid and want to understand your behavior, and will think you are returning evil for good. I'm convinced that from this stems our reputation for being false and treacherous. Horus knows we have a few faults, but treachery and falseness are not part of them. And be careful of this human love, for it can be more painful than being beaten with a stick. People often stop loving and leave one. We never do. So, yeah, interesting. Interesting exploration. Look at some of these pictures. I think those pictures were taken specifically for this book. And I just gave you a small part of it, and I think it should be very nice to go through it. It is really nicely written. Okay, let's look at this one now. As we already started to talk about poor points, the book is called Know Your Cat's Poor Points. I always want to say pure point. The book with a very nice sound. We have a kind of a map here, a map of a cat. Okay. Okay. So this is kind of a funny book, I think. Or not. Ancient writings indicate exactly where the critical poor points are on a cat. The practitioner must commit this to memory. Nothing distracts the subject more than an ill-directed application. It can also be rather dangerous for the practitioner. Just look at the picture here. There are names of points: the inter-whisker sidestep, the rumbler, knuckle duster, la petite, the trans-whisker cross step, feather duster, chin lifter, ticklers, the full fluff, the plunge, the flamenco guitar. Of course, we have the back side as well here. And here we have the flick, tipping, the trifern, double dozer, dancing the limbo, spunkers, tippers. Here we have the poses of the cat and how would it respond to an interaction, to a maybe scratching. This is quite interesting. Those are 4 different poses, And then the first one says that this is a pleasant response, and then the second one is mild enjoyment, and then the two last one is pleased to be disturbed and exquisite response. Then we have a part about head points and the way we should give that you need to go like that on the head from front to back. This I kinda know. You know, I don't think it's a joke. It is quite interesting. Yeah, they explain how to like parameter. Wow. About ears. And very important thing that they always explain that the part that you want to interact with should be accessible first, and then second, the position that cat is in should say to you that he's like ready to interact. Interesting, this one is very interesting. I'm gonna try. Yeah, some of them I already do, you know, like doing this on the chin of a cat. Flamenco guitar. Double doses. Double doses. This is like an instruction on how to know your cat pure points. An instruction about pure points, basically. I thought that's all a joke. Dancing the limbo is here. So, yeah. Very, very interesting. And then they just suggest to to give him a chicken. That could be nice. This kind of suggestion to give him chicken. Indulge your cat. Since the days of the Egyptian pharaohs, a human has indulged the cat in the practice of pleasuring. Okay. The next book is the complete book of cat care, and there's 8 chapters here. Yeah, 8. Choosing and knowing your cat, when your cat has kittens, caring for your new kitten, caring for the adult cat, internal and external parasites. Oh my god. Treatment and first aid in illness, diseases and ailments of cats, Shirley's cat care products. So that's a Shirley's cat book. So those guys also have care products, I assume, have or had. That's a 1995 edition. So yeah, the book is 30 years old, which is my favorite type of book. Oh wow, they really explain a lot about interaction of the cat with wow, with fleas, you know, and with ticks. Leaves. This is something that we have a lot. This is, I would say, more. This is more serious book. Yeah, and it's made so nice. The way I love it. So they have these chapters here, and each chapter has a little red text that would divide a chapter into even smaller parts, like adoption, problem cats, understanding the psychology of the cat, taking care, exercise, putting the cat out. Shelters, bad habits, scratching post, problems, birds, stealing. Okay. Vitamins, like what, fresh foods, how can we, very interesting. Amounts on how to feed, guides, grooming, how often to feed. That's interesting. So they say that in the wild the cat would have eaten only once in 24 hours, and they suggest under the home conditions to divide it into two parts and just feed in the morning and evening. Although for the kittens and the pregnant cat it's different, and they have a separate chapter about that. Okay, so they have an information on how to prepare a cat for the shows, how to groom it, how to bath it. Okay. Okay. Okay, then they talk a lot about health and about how to treat and first aid in illness, how to examine the cat. Plain bandages in case. Also a nice book. Sorry. I wonder if those guys still exist, surely. I love the way this book made. It's like you can very easily find the information because of this little red signs on the side. Okay guys, we have the last little book. Pocket Guide to Cats. Pocket Guide to Cats. Really small. Again, we have choosing your cat, breed guide, living with your cat, healthcare, understanding your cat, common behavioral problems, breeding, why have a cat? If some of you are thinking, let's read this. The cat is probably better suited to modern life than any other pet. Less demanding than a dog, more rewarding than a hamster or guinea pig. It adapts well to a variety of human lifestyles and with a little forethought can be kept even by someone who goes out to work all day. It can live indoors on a permanent basis where hazards such as traffic make this desirable. It is naturally clean about the house, cheap to feed and reasonably easy to care for. Cats are attractive. Retain their playfulness into adult life, and despite their reputation for independence, cats become very attached to their owners. Then they explain which cat So basically the first chapter is all about how to choose your cat, one cat or two cat, baby or an adult cat. Then they have the origin of cat breeds, the classifications of cats. Actually, here's a picture. This is how my cat looks like, and this is how his neighbor and friend looks like. That's so nice. They are together in this picture here. So they explain a lot about different types of cats. How do they look like? What are their coats? What are their eyes color? And all that. There's like a huge chapter about that with all the different cats pictures. And then they explain about the equipment of how should be a litter tray, how it should be disinfected, water and food bowls, cat bed, grooming. They have some pictures here also for that, for the equipment. And basically, yeah, healthcare, that's the one that we have seen in the other books as well. Some explanations. Again, they show how to make a first aid for the cats. How to give a pill, how to give an eye drops, ear drops. Social behavior. So yeah, very similar to the information that we saw in the books before, but very colorful images, which is also interesting to look at. And they have also information made out in this kind of sheets, like spreadsheets. So which is also very convenient for the user, you know, to just like pick a book and like find the page that you need and find the information that you were looking for. So guys, those were our books about cats. Go bring a pour into your cat if you have one. And thank you for being with me today. I'm glad spending time with you. I see you very soon in the next video.